Okay, what you're saying, people, and welcome back to my channel. Now today we have another weekly forex analysis. Now before we get into that, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also leave a like. That's all appreciated. And whilst you're at it, join me on my Telegram channel. So I'll be posting a lot of frequent trading setups throughout the week, and you don't want me missing out on that. So I'll leave a link to that in the description, so make sure you go and check that out. But like I said, we've got another weekly forex analysis, so let me stop talking and let's get into it. First up, we have Euro USD. Okay, so for Euro USD on the daily chart, you can see that we have this uptrend in the market and we found some resistance around here, and we've got this channel going on the daily chart here. If I get my trend lines out, you can see that we've got this channel going here for the Euro USD on the daily chart, and it looks like we're having sort of a corrective move to the upside, and price could potentially break below and give us a nice swing to the downside, where we could be seeing either a test of that monthly trend line or some nice support areas in the market here where we found resistance previously. Obviously will be turned support now, and on the monthly chart you can see that we've broken through this monthly trend line. We've got 1, 2, 3, actually numerous touches there of the trend line. We've had a clean break of it, so we could be expecting a swing back down on the lower time frames like the weekly and the daily as price goes and finds some support, and either to carry on that break of that monthly trend line, or either to come back in and just give us a false breakout on the monthly. But we can be expecting a swing to the downside. Price has moved up, but now you can see we're struggling to make those higher highs. We're moving quite correctively, so we could be seeing a break through these trend lines here and give us a nice swing to the downside. And on the weekly chart as well, but just get rid of these trend lines, you can see that we've obviously found some resistance around here. You can see we have multiple wicks to the upside there. We had a big strong close from last week's candle, but then you can see that this week's candle actually gave us a wick to the upside, tried to break through our resistance and couldn't, and gave us a small body candle with long wicks to either side. So again, a lot of indecision in the market on the weekly time frame, so we can be expecting a move to the downside from there. Obviously, if we break above it, we can be expecting USD to continue on higher, but for now we can be expecting a swing to the downside for price to go find some support in the market before potentially continuing in that upwards direction. Okay, now let's take a look at USD JPY. Okay, so for USD JPY on the daily chart, you can see that we're kind of just moving sideways now. We're still expecting a move to the upside, but with recent price action, we can see that we're just moving sideways. We've got our weekly level here. Zoom out to the weekly chart. You see this is our weekly level, and price is failing to break through this. We've got a test here, a big move to the upside, another test here, some big wick rejection, again another test, move to the upside, test, move to the upside. So we're coming back to that same area of the market. Obviously you can see we haven't broke it yet. A few weeks ago we had a long wick into that area, big rejection, so we can be expecting a move to the upside, but you can see that we're sort of moving sideways on the daily chart there, as price is kind of stuck between this level here as well on the daily chart and between this weekly level. So we need to be seeing either a break of the weekly level or the daily level for get some real direction for USD/JPY. Obviously, there's a higher chance that price is going to break that daily level rather than break the weekly level. So we're favouring a move to the upside there. So we could be looking at a break of this daily level here, and then we can go find some support, and then you can look for entries as price gives a retest of that same level, and then you can look for longs. But of course, if the vice versa happens, you can be looking for shorts if the weekly level breaks. But as we know, the daily is weaker as the higher time frame takes priority. So we're expecting a move to the upside there. And if I zoom in, and actually if I zoom out, sorry, you can see that on the weekly time frame we've sort of got this trend line here as price is making those lower lows, and we've got this level there here, which is price is failing to break through. So you could be expecting price to give us another swing back to the upside from this weekly level to go test our weekly trend line, and either we see a break to the upside or obviously a break back in and price comes back to test our level. But if we do get a nice break to the upside, that's where we can be expecting price to give us a nice swing towards. But again, we still need to break our daily level, and if we do, you can be looking for entries when price retests it. Now let's take a look at USD CAD. Okay, so for USD CAD on the daily time frame, you still see that we're quite bearish in the market. We are definitely making those lower lows and those lower highs. If you look at recent price, you can see that we've got this sort of channel going on for USD CAD on the daily time frame. You can see that we've got this channel that price is respecting quite well, multiple touches of both sides of the channel, and we need to see eventually a break of this channel to give us a nice swing to the upside. We had this big bullish candle on Thursday, but then you can see on Friday we had a bearish candle that almost mirrored it as well. So you can still see there is still bearish pressure in this market. We found our support around here. So if we see a break lower, we can be expecting price to continue respecting this channel and move lower. But if we get some more price action indicating a push to the upside from a daily point of view, we could be seeing maybe early next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, give us a nice bullish price action around there. We could be seeing a retest of the same support area and then a break of that trend line to give us a nice push to the upside. But obviously we don't have that break yet. Price is still respecting that trend line. And from a weekly point of view, so just get rid of these trend lines. If I zoom out, I'll be talking about this weekly trend line here that we've had a break of, and we're still maintaining that break. We've also moved past the 200 moving average, but we are coming up to this area in the market here, which you could be definitely be seeing a move to the upside from. As you can see just how strong this level is. I'll move that trend line. So previously when we had a test of this level in the market, we shot to the upside and that massive move to the upside. So we could be expecting another reaction when we get to the same level. Our previous weekly level was around here when we had push to the upside again and a few wicks around there. So we could be expecting a swing to go and test that level again. But again, we're not quite at that same level just yet, and we're still looking bearish from a weekly point of view. So we will keep our eyes out for that. So yeah, we got that level on the daily time frame. If we get another retest of that same level, as price comes deep into it and gives some more price action, could be looking for a double bottom on the 4 hour time frame and looking for buys there. But currently we still are looking a little bit bearish, but could be looking for buys soon from next week or maybe the week after. Okay, next up we have Euro GBP. Okay, so for Euro GBP on the daily time frame, you can see that we're having this bowl shape that I've been talking about last week. You see we've slowly been gaining momentum to the downside, but we did come up to this level that I was speaking about, that we could be having a potential reaction to the upside. As you can see, I've just drawn in here now. It was acting as resistance for us quite nicely in the past, but a test here, moved to the downside, second test here, moved to the downside, broke above, again a test, push to the upside, again another test, and we had that big push to the upside again. So we're coming back to that same area, so we can be expecting another push to the upside. Recently we just had an engulfing candle there, so you can see there is signs that bullish pressure is creeping back into the market again. But on Friday we did have that candle with that long wick to the upside and a bit of rejection for that small body again, so a little bit of indecision going on, but we can be expecting that swing to the upside. Obviously if we break through, we can be expecting that bearishness to continue and see a longer push. But for now, we are at a strong daily level, and we could be expecting a push to the upside from there. From a weekly point of view, we've got a doji in the week, so again indecision in the market. We've come into some support. We can be expecting the next week to be bullish and have a push to the upside, and we could be seeing a longer push coming back to go and test our weekly level prior to having that downwards move, which is back up there. So we could be seeing a longer push to the upside from a weekly point of view to go test those levels. But again, from a daily chart, we've had that engulfing candle, so there is a sign that we could be pushing to the upside. I wouldn't be looking just to buy this pair just yet because of that candle we had on Friday there. It's a little bit of indecision. So if you see price come back and test it again, give us a nice double bottom or something like that, we could be looking for nice buying entries for price to continue to the upside there. So that's what we'll be expecting for Euro GBP. Okay, so now we're going to move on to AUD USD. Okay, so for AUD USD on the daily chart, you can see that we do have this uptrend in the market. Price is making those higher highs and those higher lows, but we're still expecting potential swing to the downside for this one. We came up to this area in the market here, which I've been talking about, which is our previous resistance, now turns support, and as you can see, we had that move to the downside from this resistance up here. on the daily time frame, and we've got that small body candle with those long wicks to either side. So again, a little bit of indecision around here in the market, and you can expect that with the daily support. We could potentially be seeing another move back to the upside, where we could be testing this area in the market here again, and then looking for some more selling opportunities to capitalize on a potential break of this support, and then give us a nice swing onto the daily time frame and on the weekly as well, because we're still expecting that swing to the downside. If I jump to the weekly, you can see that last week we had a very strong close and a push above our 200 moving average. Again, we come back to retest it this week. We have a wick there, so you can see price is still failing to break below it. So we could be seeing a push higher to the upside. Obviously, you're going to need to be seeing a break of this level here, and if you do see a break of this level here, you can expect Aodu USD to continue higher, and you can be looking for long entries if we have a retest of this same level here in the market. But for now, our bias is still a swing to the downside, but with recent price action, we could be seeing another push to the upside again to go retest that same level, and then if that happens, we could be looking for some nice short entries to capitalize on a swing to the downside on the 4-hourly chart, and eventually the daily and the weekly. Now we're going to move on to NZD CAD. Okay, so for NZD CAD on the daily chart, you can see that we recently just had a push to the upside from this area in the market here, and you can see exactly why, because it was our previous resistance here, now acting as support, and also had the 200 moving average as well on the daily time frame, giving us that confluence. And there's a significant area in the market, had a push to the upside from that area. We came to test this form of support. As you can see, this level was acting as support for us on the daily time frame for a long period of time, as we were sort of ranging between the trend line and this area. And we had a breakthrough, and we'll come back to retest that area. And you can see with the recent price action there of the doji and a couple bearish candles, now it looks like the momentum is shifting from the bulls to the bears, and we could be seeing this continue to the downside further, to at least go and test this area in the market where we recently had our push to the upside, or go and test this level here, which was our resistance and support around there. So we can be expecting a move to the downside to go to reach this level at least, or see that continue and go and test this daily level around there. From a weekly point of view, you can see we do have a test of that weekly trend line where we're making lower lows and lower highs, which is giving us that downward trend. So we could be expecting this to continue further to the downside. Obviously, we do have that big push to the upside from last week, that big bullish candle, but you can see that this week's candles got that small body with those wicks, so a little bit of indecision. So we could be seeing a bullish move into the market there, a bit of indecision, and now a bearish move back to the downside as the bears start taking control from this weekly trend line. Obviously, we don't know, but that's what we're favoring for. And from a daily point of view, we're expecting that downwards move to continue. So for entries, again, you can just wait for pullbacks as price continues further, and just be wary of this support area here in the market, or you could be waiting for price to go and break it and then have a nice retest from that area. But overall, for NZD CAD, we're expecting that downwards move to continue. Up next, we have GBP NZD. Okay, so for GBP NZD on the daily chart, you can see we had a push to the upside on the daily chart there, and we found some resistance around here. Then we fell back down and had a push to the downside. Currently, we found a little bit of support in the market around here, where you can see we had a break above this area, then a couple of bearish candles into this area, then we had a big move to the upside to go and test this level here. And we're back at that same level, so we can be expecting another move to the upside from this daily level here. And if we do so, we could be testing the 200 moving average, or better yet, go and test that level up there where we had the move to the downside from. And if we do get a break of this area, we could be expecting this to continue lower. We've got the levels down here where it was acting as previous resistance for us, and now we expect it as support, or we could be coming to touch that weekly trend line there. But what we're waiting for is to see whether we get a break of this level or not. If we do get a break, that's where we're expecting it to go. If we don't, we could be seeing another swing to the upside again. From a weekly point of view, if we jump to the weekly chart, you can see while we had that push to the downside from that level here, it was acting as support for us quite well. Push to the upside, again acting as support with those wick rejections around there. Push to the upside, break below, back again, acting as resistance for us. We had that evening star pattern on the weekly chart, so you can see the momentum has shifted from a bullish point of view to a bearish point of view. So from a weekly chart, we could be seeing this move lower. Again, we are at that level on the daily time frame. So if we get a break of that, we could be seeing that continue lower and go and test our trend line again. But if we see a break above and price continues to move to the upside, we could be seeing price go and make some new highs and potentially go and test the highs up there. But we had that initial push to the downside from. So that's what we're expecting for GBP/NZD. If we get a break of the level, we expect it to move lower. If we don't, we could be expecting that just to be a swing, and it could be a swing to the upside again and go and test these highs up there. So let's see what's happening with CAD JPY. Okay, so for CAD JPY on the daily time frame, you can see we're coming up to this resistance here on the daily chart where we had that big move to the downside from. So we're coming up to that area. We've had a few bearish candles starting to creep up in the market, but we haven't really had any major push to the downside like we've had previously. So we're slowly creeping up in the market. So we could be seeing CAD JPY come a little bit higher first and have a proper push into this market here. And then we could see the CAD JPY fall back to the downside and give us a nice swing. From a weekly point of view, you can see that we had that wick to the upside for the previous week, and now we've just gone and filled that wick to the upside. So you could be seeing another push higher before we're looking to have that swing to the downside. You can see that if I zoom out, you can see that a long-term trend is to the downside for CAD JPY. We do have this trend line going through the market here. So we could be coming up to go and test that potentially before we see CAD JPY continue and have that swing to the downside from a weekly perspective. So potentially could be seeing CAD JPY continue a little bit higher first, but we are coming up to that strong area of the market there where we've seen the market have a very strong move to the downside. So I definitely won't be looking for any long-term buys. My bias is very much to short the market, but we could be seeing that creep a little bit higher first to go right into that resistance, and then we could be looking for some nice price action on the lower time frames like the 4-hourly and the hourly to get into a nice swing. But that's what we're expecting for CAD JPY for next week. Now let's take a look at GBP USD. So here was our previous resistance and now support, and you can see we had that doji with wicks to either side. So we could potentially be seeing another push to the upside to go and retest our previous highs up here, where we got our original rejection from, and our push to the downside again. So we'll come up to this area of the market. We were expecting it to act as some support, because as you can see here, it was acting as a resistance for the daily chart for some days there, and now it's acting as support. So we could potentially be seeing it move back to the upside to go and retest our previous resistance up there. Or if we do get a break of this level, we could be seeing price continue lower and give us that nice swing that we've been expecting for GBP/USD on the daily time frame there. And we could be waiting for a break of this level and then price to go and give us a nice retest, and you can look for selling opportunities there, or wait to see if we get pushed to the upside back to this area of the market up here and look for some selling opportunities there again to take advantage of a move to the downside from this level up there. From a weekly time frame, you can see why we had that push to the downside. As I move the level across, you can see that this was our previous weekly resistance where we had a massive push to the downside from. We're back at that same area, so we can be expecting a reaction from this area just because how strong it is on the weekly time frame. And as you can see, we had a big push to the upside last week, and this week we've kind of got a doji going on, a small body candle with wicks to either side, so a little bit of indecision coming in the market. So you could be seeing a push to the upside, indecision, and a push back downside next week with a bearish candle for next week. So that well could be happening for GBP/USD. Obviously, if we do get a break of this level, we could be seeing GBP/USD continue even higher. But for now, we had a strong push to the upside. We are expecting a move to the downside from this level. So next week, that's what we'll be expecting. Again, from a daily point of view, we still need to break through this level here, and we do have a doji there, so we could be seeing price push up first before we get a break. So if that's the case, we'll be looking for selling opportunities there again, or if we get a break, we'll be looking for selling opportunities on the retest of that level. And last but not least, GBP CAD. Okay, so for GBP CAD on the daily time frame, you can see we do have this resistance all the way up here, which price is struggling to break through, but we do have this trend line as well, and our weekly trend line as well. So it looks like price is just squeezing between these levels. Price doesn't really have any clear direction as of yet. We do have this previous resistance on the daily time frame that's acting as support for us. As you can see, it was acting as resistance here. with that move to downside, and then move to downside, and again acting as support for us there. But ultimately we do have these two levels that price is just ranging between, so we need to have a clear break, either having a break to the downside or a break to the upside, and then we can get some clear direction for GBP CAD. If I zoom out to the weekly time frame, you can see that this level here has been acting as a resistance quite well for us. Test there, a test there, multiple tests there, test there again, and multiple there. And you can see if I zoom in, we're just stuck between this weekly trend line and that daily trend line as well. So if we get a break to the upside, we could be seeing price really start going higher there. But if we do get a break to the downside, we could be getting a test of our weekly trend line on the downside here. If I zoom out, actually I was zoom out to the monthly. You can see why. So you can see we have test there again, multiple tests of wicks there, and test there again. So we could be seeing a break to the downside and then go and have another retest of that same trend line there on the downside. But if we do get a break to the upside, we could be seeing price continue higher. So for GBP CAD, there's no clear direction as of yet. We're kind of stuck between these two levels, so no real clear setups for me just yet. I'm going to have to be seeing a break of that weekly trend line there, or break of that daily trend line there to get a real direction for GBP CAD. But again, break to the upside, we're expecting that to continue higher. But if we see a break to the downside, we expect to go and test that weekly trend line to the downside. Okay, so that is the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit the subscribe button and also leave a like. That is all appreciated. Whilst you're at it, drop a comment if you have any questions, or if you disagree. I'll make sure I'll get back to you. But till the next one, I'll see you later.